So, hi, Professor. So, today I'll be walking you through our presentation, which will be on a fake news app we have named Stop the Fake. So, basically, there has been a lot of fake news recently, and I thought, or at least our group thought, that there would be a sort of gap in the market where we can exploit uh, this situation to the best benefit. So, let me just begin this presentation. So the background is basically the concern that individuals are increasingly exposed to fake news. Uh, as you can tell, or you can see recently, especially in the media, we have been going through a lot of misinformation, and it has become widespread, that's for sure, regardless of whether it's happening in Singapore or whether it's happening overseas. So the potential for scams and propaganda has increased. And of course, the regulations that have been put in place are insufficient. So basically, in Singapore, we do have something called a fake news law, or better known as POFMA. But even then, there have been reports recently of people spreading information about the death toll or the number of cases that happen every day. Unfortunately, that can't be prevented yet, or rather, it's still slow in preventing such problems from happening, especially on social media, where you have the free reign to say whatever you want and speak however you want because of the lack of verbal cues, the lack of the huge sense of anonymity you have. So basically, in 2019, social media had actually became one of the biggest news platforms where news have been disseminated, and most of us get our news from social media, me inclusive, and 23% actually concluded that they were sharing fake news. So more background on our app, we decided that we would get an app that would actually scan through social media and understand if the messages shared on social media were actually fake, and then we proceed from there. So let me explain more. So why fake news? Basically because why are we more submissive to fake news? Because partly we are cognitive misers, and we also have a tendency to have a confirmation bias, and the news layouts tend to get us. There's a lot of clickbait out there. In Singapore, we have a few more sensational websites, especially those who are more critical of the government. We have something like the Online Citizen, for example, which is basically a pro, I wouldn't say pro opposition, but it was more anti establishment, anti ruling party kind of Facebook page. So they tend to spread information that is basically anything to do with condemning the ruling party, be it accurate or inaccurate. And sometimes it has led to people believing such news, especially the older generation, the baby boomers, basically. And there have been reports where they actually been sued because they have been spreading false information, basically, especially during this time of pandemic. So moving on, we decided to come up with an app. So the app is aptly named Stop the Fake. So we have targeted Instagram because Instagram right now is basically one of the biggest social media platforms, and it's quite popular, especially among the youths and people around my age, 20s. So they are actually getting 44% viewership, and even among the older people, the baby boomers, it's about 33%. So what is our app? Why is it so special? So the aim is to basically detect and urge users to take down posts containing inaccuracies. Users will actually receive individual keys similar to Instagram, and it will enable the continuous addition and update of new and existing users onto the database. So we understand that actually Instagram already has such functions in place. Most of the time, it's kind of like a stopgap measure where they will actually preempt you to let you know that basically this piece of news could be uh, fake or could be inaccurate in certain manners, which I'll go into more detail later. So The functions of our app include scanning news. More specifically, content from sources is ensured to be truthful, and will dispel material meant to deceive viewers, especially coming from not so established websites or people, maybe social influencers who decide to share something containing information that is questionable, subjective, and we'll compare. So we'll definitely compare opinion piece with a factual piece, and it will definitely remind the user, especially when the headline we're looking at it. So as you can see from our screen, we have a functions database. So similar to how an individual keys in their login details on Instagram, they can create an account, and we'll continuously add and update the existing database. And we'll categorize the whole app. So basically, as you can see from the PowerPoint, in order to compare credible information, the app group accounts on the basis of business profiles as listed on Instagram. So maybe you are reading from CNN or Business Times, sites that you really want to get information from, reliable sites. So the functions normally will revolve mostly around news. So you'll scan through the information, scan through the content actually, to ensure that the information inside the content, it's truthful. It's not meant to deceive. So at least when you are scanning through all this information, you will know that I'm reading the correct information. So let's say we are reading some other information from somewhere else, a third-party website, a questionable source. A bot will come out and say, and reference claims and literature published, and identify if the information is actually true or false. Very simply, it will actually prompt you. And that's the part where you verify. So upon sharing the post, our logo will be visible alongside to show that it has been verified as truthful. This is up to the user. So we are not putting it on the user to say, oh, you must use this. But at least they will know whether this app is, this piece of information is true. So our logo will not appear alongside their posts, and that simply means it has not been verified. And by extensions, it does not necessarily mean that it contains fake news also. So the problem with social media is there are potential for people who share inaccurate news for the laughs, for the gags of it. We see that a lot in memes. We see that a lot in some parody websites like The Onion. We know that it's fake. We know it's not real, but we still read them out for the laughs, for the jokes. So that's why this app is not trying to impose itself on people, impose its ideas, but rather it's more of to inform you that this news could be fake. You could be reading something inaccurate. You could be reading something that it's potentially misleading, that could mislead you. So we will not hound you. We will not let the app sort of like dictate your thinking, but at least you know that it's fake. So ultimately, the autonomy lies with the viewer of the news. So another function will be that it will allow for sharing of third-party articles. So you'll analyze the credibility of information, and also there will be metric tools to be used in the case of identifying whether the account provided is giving the right information. And another way would be to compare the credibility of information would be to have high engagement. So normally news sites, let's say your Straits Times, your CNNs, it's pretty obvious whether it's pretty obvious that they are real news. They are more likely to be truthful. They do not have a sort of a bias or any reason to give fake news in essence. So most of the third party kind of like not news websites tend to have very low engagement. There's very little feedback. You can't comment much, or you can comment, but it's mostly you commenting with other people sharing their own comments. There's no moderator in a sense. So this app will sort of compare and show you the credibility. So to conclude this presentation and to to highlight our selling point, there is definitely a need for such an app in the current times. We are constantly bombarded with information. As we have learned in this class, CMC has allowed for information to be spread anytime, any place, anywhere. It's information overload at times. We are given too much information all the time, and sometimes we are unable to tell whether we have the right information, because there's so much potential to deceive people. There's so much potential for something to look real, even though it's not. As we can tell from the news every day, we don't even know what is real these days. So even though Instagram has come out with an app that helps, it come out with an inbuilt function that helps target fake news or news that are questionable, it's not foolproof yet. So in the essence, this app that we have created is a safety net. It's something that will aid Instagram. It is still by no means foolproof, because people who want to deceive will find a way to deceive. But we are providing a safety net. We are providing a second layer where we can actually help the viewer. We can help the people understand that, this could be fake, or at least let people know that it is fake. Sometimes we just quote fake things without ourselves knowing. At least now, if I open up the app, I'll say, oh, the logo is there. It's probably fake. And we have less anxiety. We know that we won't be sharing fake things. Sometimes we share fake things because we don't even know we are being deceived, as we have learned. So we will definitely build on this app, and through more data that comes in, the app can improve. We can see how people are using posts to deceive people, and we'll use algorithms to improve the app. And from there, we can move forward to prevent people from sharing fake news. If the process of sharing fake news is going to be so difficult, people will eventually give up. And that's what we believe in. So thank you for listening to our presentation. I hope this has convinced you that our app is necessary, that is important in the current status quo of society, that we need such measures, not because we want to impose a strict law or anything. Like in countries like Singapore, we have already a fake news law. But sometimes freedom of expression comes across inaccurately. And we need to keep the law of information there. We need to prevent mistruths, and we need to ensure that the right information, especially in times of pandemics, in times of war or uprisings, that people know what is real. So I hope that convinced you, Professor, and I'll see you soon. Thank you.